Lessons. This is Dr. Stephen L. Pettis, and always we thank God for those of you who are viewing this by way of webcast. And if you desire prayer at this time, you can give us a call as the phone number appears across the screen, or if you would really like a copy of this entire teaching, you can call us here at the church or even write us here at 5401 West Lake Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60644. Or if you would like to ask a question concerning this lesson or anything, you can also, there's the information across the screen also too. Let's welcome this national and international audience to Better Life Lessons. And we're going to get right back on into this series of teachings. We've been talking about making the decision to succeed. Making the decision to succeed. And throughout this series of teachings, we've established several things. First of all, one of the things we said is you have to believe that you're supposed to succeed in life. That's a very key thing. You have to believe that you're supposed to succeed in life, because we know it's a principle. If you don't believe it, you can't receive it. Yeah. Amen. If you don't believe you're supposed to live a successful life, then the successful life will pass you by. So now, you've got to settle it within yourself that it is in fact God's will for me to succeed. Just like any promise of God, that it's the will of God that I be healed. It's the will of God that you be delivered. So the same thing applies here. You've got to settle it that it is God's will for me to succeed in life. We read one of our scriptures was Jeremiah 29:11 that says, "For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end." But I like the contemporary English version to that verse. It says, "I will bless you with a future filled with hope, a future of success, not of suffering." Now that right there, and I've known this for years, that it is not the will of God for his people to suffer. That has been a trick of the enemy and a lack of knowledge within the body of Christ, because I've heard people say that they're suffering for the Lord. That is not in your Bible. And it kind of reminds me of a gentleman I knew who's a member many years ago, and he was dealing with sickness, and he said this in church, that his sickness, he was suffering for God. And because of, this is many years ago, but because of that lack of knowledge, he ended up dying and going to be with the Lord. So that is not the will of God that we suffer. He says, "I will bless you with a future filled with hope, a future of success." So now God's plan for you is to have a successful future. Joshua 1:8 talks about making your way prosperous and having good success. And we know that there are tons of scriptures that deals with you winning in life, being victorious and succeeding. Now, if all of this is true, which it is, then the question is, why does it seem as if only a selected few succeed in life? If it is in fact the will of God that you succeed in life, then why does it seem as if there's only a few that succeed in life? Now, one of the things we repeatedly said is success is not automatic. Even though it's a promise of God, like any of God's promises, they're not automatic. And neither does success come just because you want it to. There's a process to success. If you didn't write that down, put that in your notes. There's a process to success. In other words, you can't succeed or really accomplish anything until you've went through the process. There is no succeeding, there is no success in anything until you've went through the process to where you want to go, because there's a process to success. And this basically lets you know the difference between those who have succeeded and those who have not succeeded. And you know that within yourself. Whatever it is in life that you've had some success in or succeeded in, there was a process. Success did not just happen. No one wakes up successful. It is not automatic. So there's a process to success. Then we've also covered the necessary steps in order to succeed. We talked about the decision, we talked about the determination, the plan, the finish, the focus, and the faith. I'll say it again: the decision, the determination, the plan, the finish, the focus, and the faith. And all of these are powerful forces that's got to be done in order to succeed. Now, the very first thing we talked about was the decision, the power of a decision. And we've repeatedly said nothing officially starts until there's a decision. I'll say it again. Nothing officially starts until there's a decision. In other words, the road to success doesn't start until you've really made the decision that you want to succeed in a particular area. You know, whatever it is, until you make that decision that you want to succeed in this particular area, that road to success does not start. A decision is the initial seed for your future. Our foundation for that is Deuteronomy 30:19. We can go to there. 30th chapter of Deuteronomy, verse 19. And it says, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I've set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. Now, all of these opportunities and challenges in life have been set before you. In other words, you've got to deal with it. See, I want us to really understand what's being said here. He's saying, I've set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Now, obviously, what you decide is going to make the difference, but just in case if you don't know the right thing to decide, he says, choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live, or that you may have a living future. So all of these, the opportunities or challenges, they've been set before you. Therefore, whatever optional decision you make is going to put you on the path. Now, we've got to understand that once again. He said, I've set before you this. Life and death, there's blessing and cursing. These are things you're going to encounter. You can't get around it. I've said before, we're going to all have to deal with these things in life. All right? Now, and I'm saying that because keep in mind, you don't have to turn to it, but you can make note of this. Romans 8:2. According to Romans 8:2, it lets us know that there are two laws that operate in the earth. There's the law of the spirit of life in Christ Jesus, and then there's the law of sin and death. There are just two things. There's a law of life and a law of death. You know, just like we know as far as there's God and there's the enemy. There's right, there's wrong. There are only two kinds of people on the face of the earth: saved folk and unsaved folk. Not black and white. Only two kinds of folk that are on the face of the earth: saved people and unsaved people. All right? So there are two laws here: the spirit of life in Christ Jesus and the law of sin and death. So this is why God is saying, I've set before you life and death. I've set before you blessing and cursing. Then we can also say, I've set before you success and failure. I've set before you sickness or health and sickness. I've set before you prosperity and poverty. These are things we're going to have to deal with. I've set before you faith or fear, joy or depression. All of these things, all of these forces exist in the earth. And you and I, as long as we're in the earth, we're going to have to deal with them. So now, with that said, it kind of lets us know that there are many paths that lead to any of these manifestations. Whether it's life, death, health, sickness, prosperity, poverty, or success or failure, there are paths that lead to these manifestations. In other words, things don't just happen. And I've saying that for years. There is no such thing as a coincidence. That's a man-made word. There's no such thing as an accident. That is a man-made word. That's not a God word. See, because to say that there's a coincidence or an accident, then that's making void that things can happen for no reason. To say an accident, oh, that didn't mean to happen. I know it takes a renewal of mind of that. And I know we're used to saying that, and I understand that. But that's a man-made word. That's not a God word. There are no accidents with God. There is no coincidence or luck or chance with God. You see, there's an action that triggers every manifestation that we see. In other words, any and everything that we see, there's something that triggered it. The chair you're sitting in, something triggered it to become a chair. The clothes you have on, there was an action that caused it. Clothes didn't just appear. Chair didn't just appear. Your hair didn't just appear. Nothing in life just happens. A reaction is only the result of an action. So any and everything that we see in life is only the reaction from an action that took place. Now, I'm emphasizing that because this is very important, because if we really get this, then we'll understand how powerful and important a decision is. And all this really is the law of sowing and reaping. And the law of sowing and reaping, we know, was injected in the earth when God created everything. So now, when you understand that, then you'll see the power that's in a decision. You see that success or failure is not something that happens by chance, but it happens by choice. Things don't just happen. Things don't just evolve without a cause. That does not exist. Does not exist. I mean, the whole theory of evolution, with the people who just refuse to say it's God, the whole theory of evolution is, well, this burst out still from something. They just refuse to say God. But it's never, it just boom, for no reason. So this is why we've said throughout this series that your success is waiting on you to make a decision. And until that decision is made, failure and not succeeding is the other option. Keep in mind, I've set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Or we could say, I've set before you success or failure. Which one are you going to choose? But until you make the decision, for one thing, then there's going to always be the other option. You and I are going to be affected by one or the other. You can't escape what's been set before you. Can't escape it. And the only ones who's exempt from what's been set in the earth are folks who are dead. They're exempt. Because, you know, whatever choice they made, that's it. But you and I, we can't escape it. Because these things are set before us. It's either life or death. It's either blessing or cursing. It's either health or sick. We can't escape it. And that's why he said, I've set this before you. But because you're going to have a future regardless. But he's saying, if you don't know the right one to pick, choose life. Choose me. Choose things that produce life. So we're not exempt from it. See, while the earth remains, or while you remain in the earth, there's seed, time, and harvest. That's Genesis 8:22. While the earth remaineth, there's seed, time, and harvest. We could say, while we remain in the earth, there's seed, time, and harvest. What decision is in your seed? You write that down. What decision is in your seed? The decision of life, the decision of death, the decision of blessing, the decision of cursing, the decision of success, or the decision of failure. What decision is in your seed? There's no exemption. We also said if you don't purposely decide one option, the other option will choose you. See, I hope it's making sense that it's really coming together with this Deuteronomy 30:19. God is saying, listen, I've said this before you. These are earthly realities that we're going to all have to deal with. And it's up to you what's going to be in your future. So if you don't purposely decide one option, the other option is going to choose you. In other words, if I don't choose to live, death will find me. I know this is a real kind of tough one with if I don't choose to live, death is going to find me. Because he's saying, listen, I've said before you that one or the other. Which one you going to choose? So if I don't choose to live, death is going to find me. I mean, that's really what Proverbs 18:21 is really about when it says that life and death, or death and life, is in the power of the tongue. That's a decision. That's a decision. That's a decision. So, Pastor, what you saying? Stuff that happened to people, there was a decision made on it? Yes. Whether you knew it or not. If you didn't directly choose one thing, the other option chose you. I know that is just hard to swallow, that big pill. See, because if that wasn't true, this Deuteronomy 30:19 makes no sense. If that's not true, it don't make sense. I've said before, life, choose life. So that doesn't make sense then. If that's not true, why I got to choose? Life just going to happen anyway. It's not true. See, if I don't choose the blessed life, then the cursed life will find me. If I don't choose faith, fear is going to find me. See, because we know the mandate as believers, we're to walk by faith, not by senses, not by sight. But if I don't purposely choose faith, fear is going to find me. You know that in your own self. You get in a situation, and if faith is not there, fear is right there, and you know it. Let the doctors give you a negative report, and you don't have an ounce of faith. You are as afraid as Job. Let them say your job is over with and your rent is due. If you ain't got no faith, that fear will take you over. If you don't choose it, it's going to choose you. I don't care who you are, from the pulpit to the back door. If you don't choose to succeed, failure, defeat, and giving up will find you. That's really one of the reasons why some folks, they just give up all the time, because they never made that choice to succeed. If you don't make that choice to endure and I'm going to do that defeat and giving up is going to find you. See, I've learned that the time those other options find you is when you're going through a situation. When you're going through a challenge or a crisis, that's when the other options will find you. And the thing about it, and I've taught this years ago, it's not the challenge that defeats you. You know, it's not the challenge. Because challenges are not designed to defeat you. You know, because the word says that those things are but for a moment, a light affliction in Corinthians. But see, it's your refusal to make the decision to succeed. The challenge didn't defeat me. What defeated me was my refusal to make the decision. In other words, the sickness didn't defeat me. It was my refusal to not make the decision to be healed and healthy. See, I hope this is all, see, if it's sounding funny, if that is not true, then Deuteronomy 30:19 doesn't make sense. See, and I know one of the things we got to get out of our mind is what's going to be anyway. Where you see that in your Bible? I know folks told us that, and we might have heard a lot from the pulpit. That if it's going to be, it's going to be. If that's the case, then why do any of this? When it's all said and done, if I'm going to be saved anyway, man, I can live like a devil then. If I'm going to be saved anyway at the end. If that's true. See, and I know some of us got to renew our minds with that because we were told a lot of these things. And it is not in your Bible. Now, ultimately, we know God knows all things. He's omniscient. He's all-knowing. We know from the beginning to end. We know that's not the issue. But there's no thing of, well, it's going to be that anyway. That's not true. You know, I think the last couple Sunday school lessons deal with destiny. And where we get confused at is with the plan of God and the will of God. Now, the plan of God is going to happen with or without us. But his will is not automatic. For his will to be in your life, you got to line your will up with his. If you don't, the will is not going to come to pass. I mean, we kind of understand that. So now, with all of that, can you see how important making the decision is? My success is waiting on me to make a decision. Repeat that. My success is waiting on me to make a decision. Till you make the decision, the other option is going to always be failure. Till I make that decision that I want to be healthy and healed, guess what? Sickness and disease is going to always be the other option. Till I make the decision that I want joy and peace, guess what? Depression and all of that is going to be the other option. Till I make that decision I want to walk by faith, guess what? The other option is going to be walking in fear. Because we're not exempt. We're not exempt from it. Because he's letting us know these things are here. Don't be ignorant to it. Life and death is here. Blessing and curse, all these things are here. But it's up to you. Now, you know what my will is for you, but it's still up to you. See, never forget, God is not going to force any of us to do anything. Because one of the things he gave man was free will. He's never going to go against your will. Never. He's not going to go against your will. Because he gave you free will. Now, I know folks be saying, God made me do this and made. Now, I'm not saying that things don't happen that nudged you to, you better get yourself together, but he didn't make you. He ain't going against your will. Because I've seen people go in the lion's den and still didn't do right. I'm not joking. Went in the fiery furnace, the lion's den, the whale's mouth, and still ain't thinking about Jesus. So my success is waiting on me to make a decision. Then we talked about determination. Determination is what keeps you from quitting and giving up, especially when the journey gets tough. Determination gives you the attitude to stand and fight. You know, I say that because it's always, it's funny, but it's not funny. When you have people, before they got saved, they were brawlers. Then they get saved. Now they just little wimps. Now, I'm not saying you got to brawl from a physical standpoint, but that you should still have that same attitude. It's just, it's just in God now. But folks were crooks and knew how to manipulate and percolate and everything else as a heathen. I don't know why I said that, but then get saved and they just quiet and just, oh. Something wrong with that. So determination, it gives you the attitude to stand and fight. It gives you staying power. Good biblical examples of that is the woman with the issue of blood. We know her story. She didn't let her, well, after she got revelation, got the word and all that, but she didn't let her weakness, because remember, she didn't get better, she got worse. She didn't let her weakness, she didn't let the embarrassment or the fact that she should not have even been public to stop her from when Jesus come by, I'm going to touch the hem of his garment. She had determination. There's another story, if you all remember, when Jesus was ministering, they say some ministering in his house, and it was so full of people, and then there was a lame man come, and they got on the roof, tore a hole in the roof, and brought the bed down. That was determination. They didn't let the crowd stop them. See, when you determine, listen, if I can't get in through the front, I'm going to come through the basement. If I can't get in through the basement, I'm going to come through the window. If I can't come in through the window, then I'm going to make a hole in the roof. When you determine. Determination refuses to give up. Let me say that again. Determination refuses to give up. So now, how determined are you in succeeding on what you decide? If not all of us, I know most of us, we made some decisions about some things. How determined are you? Where is your level of determination? Do you still got the fight in you? Then the next key we said was the power of the plan. And you can't and won't be able to succeed in anything without a plan of action. Doesn't matter who you are. You can have the best idea in the world. You can have a vision from heaven. But until there's a plan of action, you're not going to succeed. See, decisions and determination, all of that is important. That's more or less that takes place mentally. But a plan of action is what you execute physically. In other words, the plan of action is the physical proof that you are determined and you have made a decision about something. See, the power of a plan, it validates that you really made some decisions concerning a thing. And then if you really think about it, without a plan, do you even believe you're serious? See, really, we could say a lot of things. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I decide I'm going to. But without a plan, are you really serious? Do you really believe you're serious? Without a plan, you couldn't possibly be serious. I'm not saying you don't have good intentions. But what has been said for many years, good intentions are not good enough. Without a plan, you're not really serious. See, without a plan, your vision has nowhere to go. In other words, without a plan, it has no destination. Why? Because it has no direction. Plan gives you direction. If you don't have direction, you have no destination. You can't have a destination and no direction. Because how do you know when you get there? You don't know. We said a plan is like a map. A plan makes your vision real and attainable. See, once you have that plan, it makes like, okay, now, a plan, it kind of like, I can do this. It becomes more real when you got a plan. See, it's not just your thinking and all of that, but when you got a plan now, it makes it real. See, it's just like anything. When you go into school, you know, there is a plan to get out of grammar school to go to high school. And the plan, whether you write it down or not, you got to finish 8 years. And while you're in it, it makes it real. You know I got to finish 8 years to graduate to go to high school. And however further you go. So a plan makes it real and it makes it attainable. A plan is like your physical proof that this can be done. See, without a plan, how you know you can do it? And don't get super spiritual, because I can do all things through Christ. Okay. You say you can do all things, can you come up with a plan? A plan keeps you moving. A plan shows you where you're at and where you're going. A plan even shows and manages your time. See, that's how a lot of folk, you know, they ain't planning. I don't know where the time went. What did you do all day? I don't know. You don't know. That's when you can tell some folks who really have no plan for their life. When they say, what did you do last week? I don't know. What did you do yesterday? I think, what you going to be doing tomorrow? I think I might be. I ain't got a plan for your life. Because a plan shows and it manages your time. When you got a plan, you know where you're at. You know, if you're working, there's a plan there. Somebody asked you where you at yesterday at 12. I was at work. And some of you might can be specific. 12:15, I was eating lunch. You don't know. A plan allows you to make decisions on where to go and what to do next. A plan has specific details. A plan will prevent you from aborting your vision if something unexpected comes up. See, if you don't have a plan and you just winging it, as we call it, some unexpected comes, you're going to retreat and quit. But see, when you got a plan, and then even if something that you didn't expect comes up, a plan allows you to reevaluate and readjust. Yeah. See, if you ain't got no plan and something come up that you didn't expect, you're like, oh man, now I can't do it. You abort it. That's what happened to a lot of folks. They have good intentions, and they say they didn't make the decision, maybe you did. But then if you don't have a plan, then something comes up that you didn't expect, then you just quit. I guess I can't do it. Or you'll put it off. I guess I'll wait till next year. But see, if I had a plan, and then if something unexpected came up, then I said, then, okay, I can readjust. I have to reevaluate. Maybe I have to move this over here and over here. Maybe I need to take this a little bit longer or this or that. You don't abort it if you got a plan. You don't have a plan, the thing is over. And that's what happens to most people. Once again, I ain't saying you don't have good intentions. And I'm not saying that maybe there's some determination in there, but if you don't have a plan, and the moment something comes up, totally unexpected, then that vision is gone. Or you'll just quit. And if not all of us, that's happened to many of us. We've done things, we didn't mean no harm in it. We were just winging it. You know what I mean when I know that's an old term. When I mean winging it, you just one day at a time, sweet Jesus, you know, you just winging it. But no plan. See, we learned that, and you don't have to turn to it, when Jesus said in Luke 14 about counting the cost. And really, it's really a violation to attempt to do something without first counting the costs. That's a violation, to try to do something without a plan. You know, when he said, no man how you build a building and don't count the costs. Then you lay the foundation, then realize you ain't got enough to finish it. You know, that's a violation, to try to do something without a plan. Okay? So no plan, no success. Let's say that. No plan, no success. Then the next key was the power to finish. Now, how many people started out but didn't make it to the finish line? It kind of reminds me of a race. I think some of the members here a couple weeks ago did a race. I'm not sure if everybody finished it or not. Probably those who didn't probably really didn't have a plan. Now, I don't know who, so don't nobody say somebody told me. I don't know. Maybe you did have a plan. I had a plan I wasn't going to finish. Maybe that was the plan. I don't know. But how many of us start out but didn't make it to the finish line? You know. Now, obviously, you can't complete a task without determination, decision, and making a plan. But now we want to get to the point of how do we finish? How do we finish? This word finish means to bring something to an end. It means to completion, to bring something to an end or to complete. It also means the end or conclusion, a decisive ending. It also means to bring to a desired or complete condition. I'll say it again. Finish means to bring something to an end or to completion, the end or conclusion, a decisive ending. In other words, decisive, when something is finished, it's finished. It ain't debatable. This is over. To bring to a desired or complete condition. Finish means complete. In other words, what you started out has come to an end. Finish means you've succeeded. You know, when I finished 8th grade, I succeeded elementary school. When I finished 12th grade, I succeeded high school. You know, if I got my degree, I succeeded in college. You know, so finish means you've succeeded. But now there's also a process that's involved to reach the finish. There is a process to the power to finish. Now the process to that consists of 3 things: the power to stay focused, the power of the word, and the power to stay in faith. I'll say it again. The process to the power to finish is the power to stay focused, the power of the word, and the power to stay in faith. Now, we talked about staying focused, and obviously you can't have the finish without the focus. Amen. I'll say that again. You can't have the finish without the focus. If you don't stay focused, you can't finish. Staying focused, it keeps you from yielding to distractions. Because to every accomplished goal, there is the obstacle called distraction. Now, that's something that you've got to remember. To every accomplished goal, there's going to be a distraction. There's going to be. See, that goes up once again back to Deuteronomy 30:19. I've said before you, life and death. There's going to always be another option to the option you chose. So in other words, if the option I chose is to stay focused, there's another option called distraction. So now to every accomplished goal, there is the obstacle called distraction. Now, what's a distraction? A distraction is anything that can divide your attention. Anything that can divide your attention. So this lets me know that staying focused also requires a plan. You know, you don't just stay focused, I'm just going to stay focused. It also requires a plan. So a distraction is anything that can divide your attention. Because if your attention is divided, you can't stay, because you can't look forward and backward at the same time. You can't look to your left or to your right at the same time. You can't look south and north at the same time. So if your attention is divided, you're no longer focused. Because you can't be focused on two things at the same time. I'm not talking about being multitask. I'm not talking about, somebody can cook and wash dishes and sweep the floor and do the laundry all at the same time. That's not what I'm talking about. But a distraction divides your attention. Okay? Now, we said that staying focused requires a plan, and this is what I call the focused plan. In other words, a plan to help you resist distractions. Because it will be there to try to get you. But I need a focused plan to resist the distraction. Without a focused plan, the distraction will become the focus. If I don't have a focused plan, when that distraction comes, then the distraction is now going to become the focus. In other words, the distraction is now going to become the attraction. And if the distraction becomes the attraction, then you're going to end up where the distraction leads you. Not all of us, many of us, we know what it is to lose focus and get distracted. We got distracted, and then the distraction, we ended up somewhere else where we shouldn't have been. And I ain't coming against you. That happens. And that's why it's important that we stay on course and we execute these things. Staying focused. There is a plan to stay focused. And I'm sure Sunday I'm going to really get into the part of succeeding spiritually. There is a plan to stay focused. You don't just you got a plan. You've got to do things on purpose. I always using that word on purpose, purposely, doing it deliberate, not by chance, choice. All right? So now if the distraction becomes the attraction, then you're going to end up where the distraction leads you. If you stay distracted, then you're no longer focused, which means you can't finish. And you can't finish in what you started. Distractions are designed to get you off. All right? And what's a distraction? Anything that will divide your attention. See, when your attention is divided, you're like what the Apostle James wrote in his book, you're like double-minded. And a double-minded man is what? Unstable in all his ways. And he shouldn't expect to receive anything of the Lord. When your attention is divided, and I know how that can be. Your attention divided, you don't have the focus. You're looking over here and over there. Should I do this or should I do that? And it becomes confusing. And you're not focused. And that's what a distraction, especially when you're really in this, you're on that path, on that journey. And especially when you're getting closer to the finish. And those distractions will come. But you can't allow the distraction to distract you. You got to stay focused. All right? So how many of us have allowed distractions to stop us from finishing? And that can go with anything in life. Some folks allow distractions to stop them from graduating from school. Allow distractions to stop them from getting their business going, from doing things. I mean, then that goes from A to Z, really. Because your attention was divided. You started out and you're doing this, but then that distraction came. See, that's why I say there's a process to success. And that's why most folk don't really succeed, because it don't come overnight. And everybody don't want to follow the process. Everybody don't want to do it. That's why when I gave you them statistics a couple weeks ago, that only 8% actually succeed and 92 don't. Because everybody don't want to go through the process. I also told you last week that one simple but effective way to stay focused, to avoid these distractions, is to avoid people, places, or things that has the ability to get you off. And we all know something or someone that if we're not careful, I didn't say can force it because nothing can force it, but has that ability if you allow it to get you off. All of us, from the pulpit to the back door. There is something or someone or something that if you allow it, now you got to allow it. Like I said, nothing can force you to anything. That has that ability where you get off and lose focus. And that's one area where you have to always be true to yourself. And I've seen this even happen with Christians, and I don't like to say even with preachers and leaders. You got to be honest with yourself. You know, because I know sometimes we want to play super saint. Oh, I can deal with that. You better be honest with yourself. You know, you can't look at everything. You can't listen to everything. You can't be around anything. All right? So how many of us have allowed distractions to stop us from finishing? Now, as we said, one of the things effective but easy way to avoid people, places, or things, Proverbs 4:14 says, enter not into the path of the wicked, or we could say, enter not into the path of the distraction. Don't enter into it. And then one of the things you got to be careful too is that distraction can be alluring. In other words, that distraction, see, this is where you have to be careful. Don't put yourself in certain positions that you don't be tempted to want to yield to the distraction. Now, I don't want anybody to just get caught up into a person. It could be things. Don't put yourself in a position. It's just like if I'm trying to lose weight or eat right, I do not need to go to no buffets. Now, I know some of y'all are going, but I go there to eat. How much salad you going to eat? You ain't got to pay no $15. You go to the store and get you 15 heads of lettuce, if that's the case. So don't give me that one. You don't do that. I'm just going to go in there and eat a little bit. Who are you kidding? If we struggle being disciplined at home, what makes you think you're going to be disciplined and you didn't pay $10, $15, $20? See, because your first thing is your mind, I'm going to get my money's worth. That's the first thing going to come to your mind. Can't do it. So don't even put yourself in that position. No, I'm just saying, if, like I said, this goes with anything from A to Z. But if it's something like that, maybe I can't go to the barbecue. Because a lot of us ain't disciplined to just eat one. See, some of y'all, see. And see, then we play this stuff in our mind. Oh, I do it today. I make up tomorrow. And who are you kidding? See, that's what I say. Don't ever fool yourself. But see, if we keep doing that, maybe we back up. Maybe we really, really never made a decision from the beginning. Now, I just said that, but that could be anything, really anything, anything, from saving money to anything. All right? The Voice translation in Proverbs 4:14 says, stay away from it. Don't even go past it. And if you find yourself anywhere near it, turn your back and run as far as you can in the opposite direction. Run as far as you can in the opposite direction. Stay away from it. Don't even go. If you know it's there, don't even go there. You know, there's a person or a place, or if you know it's there, hey, you might have to take the long route. No, seriously. I mean, if you really trying to finish something and you want to stay focused and all of that kind of, and don't want to get, hey, I know this the quicker way, but hey, I don't even want to see it, so I may have to take the long route. See, you have to do that. You have to be that serious about it. We also said, too, that the way you eliminate even opportunities to be distracted is to, once again, not put yourself in certain positions. Because the environment you put yourself in or who you're surrounded by is going to affect how you think. You know, the environment you put yourself in is going to affect how you think, affect your perception. So just avoid it. Don't even put myself in that position. That's why you have to purposely avoid obstacle opportunities that can get your mind and move your mind in another direction, where your attention is now divided. All right? Then we talked about, oh gosh, I got to hurry. Then we talked about the power of the word. The power of the word keeps you focused so you can finish. Let's go to Matthew, 4th chapter of Matthew. Oh, I've got to hurry. 4th chapter of Matthew, verse 1. We read this passage before. And this is the temptation of Jesus. And this is really how Jesus stayed focused and was able to finish what he started, or the beginning of finishing what he started. Verse 1 says, then was Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil, or tempted, tested, and tried. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward hungry. And when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Now keep in mind, this is a legitimate temptation of Jesus. Could he have turned the stones into bread? Yep. He could have. If the man can turn water into wine, he could have turned the stones into bread. If he couldn't, why would he be tempted? You ain't tempted to do something you can't do. That just make good sense, right? All right. Then the devil take him up in the holy city and set him on a pinnacle of the temple. And he said unto him, if thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down. For it is written, he shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and in their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. Then Jesus said unto him, it is written, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. Could Jesus have called angels? Yes. He could have, but he didn't. Again, the devil taking them up in an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them, and said unto him, all these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Could Jesus have done that? Yes. Blasphemous, blasphemous. No, it ain't. You are not. There is no legitimate temptation unless something you can do. As of right now, there is no, I can't be tempted as of right this moment to give any of you all $100 million. Y'all missed that. There's no temptation there. It don't matter if the Lord, if I thought I heard the Lord say, give them $100 million, ain't no temptation there. Unless it's going to fall out the sky right now. See, my point is the temptation that, because he could have done these things. If he could not have done it, it wasn't a temptation. He could have turned the stones into bread. He could have called the angels and all of that. And he could have, I bow down to you, Satan. Man, I feel that, Of course we know he didn't do it. And I know that's hard for us to imagine. But could he have? Yes, he could have. Are you all following that? If he couldn't, then it wouldn't have been a temptation. Some of y'all got to go home and sleep on that one. I don't know why. He could have. What is it? Well, I mean, let's think about what is it? What is a temptation? Temptation is really, the thought is you can do this. Don't act like none of us never been tempted. Now, temptation is not sin. That is not sin. Sin only comes when you've yielded to the temptation. But any of us who've been tempted in something, you had the ability to do it. Because if it wasn't, there's no temptation. And then Jesus said unto him, get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only thou shalt serve. Then the devil leaveth him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him. Jesus stayed focused, and he succeeded when he used the word. And that's one of the things we do as part of the finish and staying focused and all that. We got to use the word. Got to use the word. James 4:7 says, submit yourselves therefore to God, or we could say submit to the word, resist the devil, and he will flee. See, that's even part of how you stay focused and don't yield to distractions. Use that word. Distraction kind of comes, you use that word. All right? Then the last step we use, let's quickly go to 2 Timothy 4:7. I got 2 minutes. 2 Timothy 4:7. Second Timothy 4:7 says, I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Now, we could easily say that I was able to succeed because I stayed in faith. Okay? I stayed in faith. I was able to succeed. I was able to finish what I started because I stayed in faith. Now, what do I mean, stay in faith? We said earlier that it is God's will for you to succeed. We read Jeremiah 29:11 in the CEV version, that I will bless you with a future filled with hope, a future of success. We talked about Joshua 1:8 says, well, you'll make your way prosperous and have good success. Failure and defeat is not the will of God for your life. 2 Corinthians 2:14 says, now thanks be unto God, which always causes us to triumph in Christ. So now succeeding is a promise of God. Now how does it tie into staying in faith? Because since succeeding is a promise of God, and all the promises of God we know are received by faith. So now to finish what I started, to get to the goal, I've got to stay in faith. All right? In other words, I've got to lay hold to the promise of succeeding in whatever I plan to do. And I lay hold to the promise by faith. So wherever you're at in life, whatever it is you're accomplishing, doing, you made the decision, the determination, you got that going, you got the plan going, and you're staying focused and all of that, and you got the work. Now you got to stay in faith. You got to stay in faith. See, because if you get out of faith, everything else is going to fall down. You get out of faith, forget staying focused. You got to stay, you have to stay in faith. And that's more or less what the Apostle Paul is saying here. I fought a good fight. Okay, I went through the process. I finished my course. How did I do that? Because I kept the faith. And that's how it works. You see, when you stay in faith, it keeps all the other steps in place. All right? Like I said, we're going to end this part, but when I began this series, we said that there are two areas we're going to deal with succeeding in your spiritual life and your natural life. So we're going to deal with the spiritual aspect first, and we'll deal with that on Sunday, succeeding spiritually. And then hopefully the following week, we will deal with succeeding naturally. Amen. We're out of time. This has been Better Life Lessons. We'll see you this coming Sunday, 12:30 Central Standard Time. God bless you.